Remember when?
What Nintendo?
Well, until they didn't. Sega started in Hawaii with the name Standard Games, making slot machines for military bases. They decided to move to Japan in 1952 because the US banned slot machines and rebranded to Service Games of Japan. This wouldn't be the last time they changed their name, since in 1954, the old Sega name we all know and love first appeared on a slot machine called the Diamond Star. Through legal troubles with the US government, in 1965 Sega finally got its permanent name. Sega got into the non-arcade tech with the 8-bit SC3000.
Our first 8-bit machine was the SC3000. This was a PC for beginner-level users. At the time, Sega only did arcade games, so this was our first challenge. We had no idea how many units we'd sell.
The SC3000 was an 8-bit computer which later changed into Sega's next console.
We learned that Nintendo planned to release their console system at the same time, so we removed the keyboard from the SC3000 and marketed it as a new home console, the SG1000.
Within the first year, they had sold over 160,000 models, and it was their first minor success in the console world. Then they released the second SG1000, and then the Mark III, pretty much upgrading the crap like Iron Man. The Mark III had been rebranded as the Master System, and made more for Western audiences, which performed well in the Western Hemisphere, with over 1 million sales, but nothing in comparison to Nintendo's NES. But Sega had something on the horizon that would be its biggest competitor with Nintendo yet.
Mario World, wow!
Oh, what's this one?
Oh, this is a Sonic the Hedgehog from Sega Genesis. Hey, look at these radical colors, huh?
Wow, Sonic's fast, too.
No, over here.
I like Genesis, and it costs a lot less.
But kid, that game
I'll
there.
take Sonic and Genesis.
I knew that.
Sonic the Hedgehog. More action, more speed. Sega Genesis, it's a whole lot more for less.
The Mega Drive released in Japan on October 29, 1988, with a 16-bit processor which had been unheard of at the time. Real talk though, in today's times, if I saw someone getting excited over 16-bit pixels, I'd give them an undeniably dark ending. Unfortunately for Sega, the Mega Drive's release was heavily overshadowed by the Spaghetti Plumber's newest game, Super Mario Bros. 3. Which released just a week earlier than the Mega Drive. Ouch. Magazines like Famitsu and Beep gave the console positive courage, but they couldn't stop the sales underperforming at only 400,000 units sold the first year, compared to Famicon's 2.5 million their first year. The Mega Drive was already struggling to compete against Famicom, let alone the Super Famicom, on which they severely lagged behind. The Mega Drive then launched in America under a new name, the Genesis. Cool name, right? Atari refused to market their console in America, so Sega did it themselves through their American branch, Sega of America. Sega's marketing campaign was designed to take shots at Nintendo with their signature catchphrase at the time, Genesis does what Nintendo don't, which was corny as corn. Nonetheless, Sega experienced the same troubles as in Japan sales. Despite their whole new marketing campaign, Sega of America only sold 500,000 units in their first year, underperforming yet again. Sega knew that they needed to step up. Nintendo's reign needed to end. Fortunately for them, they had just the right guy for it. Sonic the Hedgehog, the Blue Blur, the fastest thing alive, the tax evader. He goes by many names, but we do know one thing's for sure. He was Sega's saving grace. Sonic the Hedgehog was made by Sega to be Mario's rival, and love interest if you look at the right places, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. Having the opposite color of Mario, spiky features, and too cool for school, inspired by the 42nd President of the United States, Bill Clinton, was a perfect rival for Mario. Really makes you wonder if Mario was inspired by George H.W. Bush. Anyways, Sonic was a riot in the Americas of States United, helping skyrocket sales of the Genesis to completely outsell Super Nintendo Entertainment System during the 1991 holiday season by nearly 2-1. Sega was definitely saying El Ratio Bozo, get better. Sega outsold Nintendo for 4 consecutive holiday seasons and dominated the 16-bit market by 65%. They were on a streak like you locked in during Kahoot. But, like Kahoot streaks, they always get broken. Sega's main downfall was because of the consoles, but the game Night Trap had a part. In the 90s, like everyone, had an edgy era, Sega made a game which was pretty much Genesis Mortal Kombat. But this backfired, it being mentioned in the US congressional hearing. This wasn't good for Sega's image, and it was a part of its downfall. One of the main failures that Sega had was the Game Gear. Sega's failed attempt at a handheld console that would feature colored graphics when compared to Nintendo Game Boy's black and white. With the converter, it could play Master System games. While it did semi-well, it paled in comparison to Nintendo's sales, showing that once again, Nintendo is the king of handhelds. Until the Wii U... We don't talk about the Wii U. Anyway, after the Genesis, they started to work on the Saturn, which would be the successor, but in the meantime, they tried to release the 32X by 1994, which would go along with the Genesis and act as a competitor to the Atari Jaguar, and an attempt to enter the 32-bit consoles, but it did horribly with it not attracting third-party game devs, and just didn't have enough games, and was also not technologically advanced. Sega then focused on the Saturn, which couldn't have failed, right? The Sega Saturn, released November 2nd, 1994 in Japan, was a success, selling more than the PlayStation. But for the rest of the world, it was a different story. The Saturn was made to try to challenge the PlayStation, but since it had such a high price point of $400 and could barely handle 3D graphics, made it a rousing failure. The sales plummeted even more when the Nintendo 64 came out, and it was the last nail in the coffin. But then, they had a new console on the horizon, which was the Dreamcast. It was... also a failure. The Dreamcast was supposed to save Sega's reputation by having improved 3D graphics and online capabilities coming out in 1998. It was doing great, over 1 million units sold. Nothing could go wrong. Until the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox all came out, which all dug the Dreamcast's grave. Besides that, it was also just a bug-ridden mess with the online capabilities being before their time and not being Xbox Online. Due to their many failures, Sega truly left the console business, losing millions in income. This led to an era of third-party games. Sega, despite their failures in the past with consoles, have found themselves in a pretty good spot making third-party games. Sonic is still very relevant, having achieved the title of being one of the most sold game series. Sega's relationship with Nintendo is now more of a friendship than a rivalry. Having Sonic appear in Nintendo's games, Super Smash Bros., and even Sonic and Mario appear in a crossover game, Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games, Sega has also made different IPs over the years, which has garnered success like Yakuza and Monkey Ball and Persona. A lot of people think that getting out of the console business was what saved Sega. No matter what it was, Sega can rest easy knowing that they've made an impact on kids, adults alike, around the world. They also own Hatsune Miku,